Alright guys, welcome to another review. We're talking about Hate with Auric or Veles. This album here is from a band that is notorious now with our podcast slash YouTube ventures. A band that, for those who don't know, Danny, how would you describe Hate's music?
The name says it all, doesn't it?
Pretty much. These guys hate everything, and the music is really much designed around it, at least lately. You know, I think the band's had a nature of the black and death metal nature, but they incorporated some other ideas that sometimes weren't as just as disgusting and as brutal and as heavy as they've done in the last two albums. The album before this one particularly, though, we didn't really get into as much. It felt like one idea of just combining noise and chords and just having drop blast beats over it. Sure, it was more maybe in tune to the old school black metal they wanted to pay homage to, but it devoided themselves of a real personality. Now, I'm glad to say with this album here, though, Danny, they have returned back to what made Hate for the right reasons. Of course, there's that barrage of noise and that anger and stuff, but they've incorporated their melodies and stuff as well to have their sadness and their dreariness and some of that nature as well, and even sometimes some rockin' notes, especially with the first track as well. I really want to notice how heavy it can sound, but then also there's a very strong notions of those really sad sounding textures as well, Danny.
Yeah, they do. This whole song has like a bit of a dichotomy of the melodic and the chaos all put together. More so the second half of the track gets that way.
Absolutely.
It has this classic work where it has like a bit of harmonic or like semitone work to get the whole high tension building thing, which they kind of used throughout a lot of this album. I guess it's a nice trick for them to give that angst and that high strungness before they come into a blast beat, a double kick, and make it more aggressive.
Absolutely. Across this album, you really do get a lot of that. Particularly though, there is a conscious effort of show off their awesome musicianship, I think, and that is pretty much relevant across every single track here. But more particularly, I think track 4 is one of my ones here that has a really good effort, not only to the songwriting, but also to the endings. And I think every song deserves to be noted that there is a fleshed out way of writing songs. You know, the starts really gave your attention, and usually around the 1 minute mark afterwards, the song launches off, and then after that, you have the song in itself. But the last minute is really dedicated to really finalizing the chapter of the track and making sure that you actually get a pretty satisfying conclusion to each track. But track 4 is where it's most noticeable. You even get a rock guitar solo at the end of the track as well.
Yeah, I reckon track 4 was my favorite track as well.
Yeah, it is the best one. I agree. Yeah,
and it's the longest song, but it did a really good way of telling the story. Like it looked like each part of the song had a phase. So you had the first minute, half was this, the next minute, half was this, and blah blah blah. And it's a bit of a big kickback to, I reckon, to Ace of Spades from Motorhead in that 48-second part. It gets very rocking, and it goes din, 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 and it feels like, hey, it's a very Motorheady type song. So, and again, they continued with that later on the song as well. Their guitar solo was very like style guitar solo.
That's right.
Stuff, so.
You also get songs though that are more in tune to where right now with Path to Arkham, which is far more hits you a lot, never ceases. All those absolutely awesome guitarists, and I really think here the guitarists from Hate are some of the most talented guys running around this industry. I think they always try to do something unique and interesting. By adding unconventional chord passages like an Auric or Veles as well, where you get very chromatic things. The way they use very much darker chords, like your minor chords or your augmented, your sus2s and whatever. But they do it in a way which is really clever and it really sounds brutal. A lot of bands that I've listened to just aren't as ambitious, and these guys really deserve that in this album, Danny.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, again, they to me, the guitarists still like to use their whole like ascending and descending scale work to give you that whole
chromatic stuff.
Yeah, they use that quite a lot.
They use the exotic scales, all that kind of stuff as well. The tremolo picking, it's all there. They can do the tapping, they can do all that kind of stuff, sweeping, solos. This vocal, though, is one thing that I have noticed from the band. It hasn't changed a hell of a lot since I've been listening to him out. The vocals get a chance to stand out in certain tracks, don't get me wrong, but I do think that I would like to hear another depth to this guy that we haven't heard just yet. Yeah. Although, how would you do it without being Hate?
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, they pretty much have the same, I guess, delivery for everything, which is how it is. There's a bit of whispering and like talking.
Yeah, that's right.
Create a bit of feel, which is, I guess they do it with this again using a bit more melody and stuff in this song and the album as well. I guess that's why they're doing it, because they don't actually have a synth, they don't have a piano.
No, that's right. Everything's pretty much done. Exactly. It's very much designed for the string, the guitars to really be as well. However, I think though most of it is pretty good and much to get excited about. There are tracks like Sale of Ignis, and that's is much more of what we've heard before in the band. And even at times in listening to this album, it did remind me that previously of the other works, which aren't as strong, but much more chaotic. But the Sour of Ignis is definitely the way that the band was more started to be more in their own writing, and I didn't really enjoy it. It's chaotic and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't say much. It says a lot, but doesn't mean much, you know.
Yeah.
So I will say that one there is a little tricky. There is some highlights on the track, for example, the first part and the ending to the track, but a lot of it got a little just never kicked off into another phase, and that's the problem with Hate. I think when it's super angry all the time, it's hard for me to be super invested a lot. You know, it's tricky, especially just with that track. But nonetheless, there are other great tracks on this album as well.
Yeah, I think that track's well. They get like a really good riff and they don't keep with it. They just really change a lot.
It sucks, but. And this is the funny thing, they have a track called In the Shrine of Veles, and for some reason they decided to have this as a pre-production track, so it sounds a little more like traditional black metal, which was what I think the band wanted to do at one point, but so it lacks that depth, it lacks the character and the polish that the other tracks do, but I think it's actually a fantastic track, and it has some very jazzy moments in it, some ripper chord passages, snare rolls that are really tight. I think it's actually a really, really great track, and one that's one of my favorite, and it has got a really tough riff. 3 minutes in, it's very short, but it's very groovy.
I think the interesting thing about this album is that track 2 should have been track 1 and track 1 should have been track 2.
Yeah,
the simple fact is that track 1 had like a little 15-second like white noise intro, but in track 2 like a 30-second minute like white noise.
Oh yeah, and if you're gonna do a black death metal album, you need to have a clean section.
Where's your intro?
Where's your intro
track or your intro? So track 2 kind of suited more to be the track 1 than track 1 did. Just for that reason alone, pretty much. Track 1, I thought that was a weird thing.
Yeah. So I'm glad that the band has definitely returned to form. This album here has really gotten more secured and out in my mind and heart. I don't think, though, it's exactly where the band is at its strongest. Whereas for me, there are a couple of albums from the band that I actually really, really prefer. Previous, which I think I might just thumbnail up the top here. But I think Theodonia is one of them, and there's another one after that as well. But this album it's better from the band. It's more polished. It's more variety. It's got all those unconventional songwriting ideas done in a modern way. It's unique for the band. It's unique for the genre, and it's a step forward. Danny, what do you want to say before I put a bell around this one?
I think we haven't really talked about the drumming yet. I thought the drumming was pretty good.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
The musicianship across the board is probably the best you're going to hear in black and death metal, and this drummer is no slouch. He's probably one of the best black and death metal drummers that we got going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of variation in this guy's work. I mean, the classic blast beats used quite often. They don't use double kick as much. They kind of use a double kick just to put a lot more energy in one part of the song, and that's it. And then the drumming's really used to like change phases or use the aggression. They put a bit of swing feel at times, kind of like cymbal hits, on-beat hits, just to give a bit more emphasis when the song needs it. So the drumming is great. I think that's one thing which really does a good job and to help tell the story and help transition through the songs quite nicely. So
agreed.
Give props to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little fills chucked in there. I mean, the guitars do a bit with some slides in there and some like, I think there's a dime bomb in one of the songs as well.
Sometimes the riffage is definitely more about being tense and that, but it loses a little bit of the catchiness. But I love when the band actually gets the catchiness in that. I don't mind when they break it up with some of that anger, but sometimes it becomes so chaotic for so long. It's like come on,
it does.
I'm hanging out for a payoff.
And I'm a big fan of blast beats. I think after a while they kind of sound same. So for me, again, so it's not my most favorite genre. So for me, it's not the best staying point. But then there are times where I do enjoy what they do when they. But that's when they make it a bit more rocky and stuff.
Exactly.
My tasting.
But they've done the albums like that before. They've done tracks for it. So unfortunately for us, it falls a little short. However, and it sucks because I really want to give these guys like a massive shout out, but I think that they fall, but just behind Flesh God Apocalypse when it comes to the kind of technicality and putting that onto a song. But if they want pure anger, I still think Veles' album Sin is just a better album to check out. It's just, this album sounds like hate, but Veld makes you feel hate. And that's a hard thing to say, to experience. But if you guys want to hear what a Blackened death metal album sounds like, as pure aggression, now I honestly believe that Veld, that album really cements them as possibly one of the best death metal bands going around at this moment as well. I think Flesh God get it for symphonic, but I think Veld, if they can keep running those albums. But I'm glad Hate's returning back to this form, and they're still kind of innovating, and if they fall a little short, whatever, they're still trying to do things different, and I really respect them for that. And these guys are no slouch, and I still really want you to check out this album, even though I didn't love it. I know someone out there will, and I hope they love it. It's a shame that I just didn't get into it as much as I thought I would, but it still gives me hope that these guys can return to some serious form, because Hate, for me, have released some of my favorite songs in the heavy metal genre, and I hope to hear more of that coming in the near future.
Yeah, the last time we reviewed 2.5 years ago, that wasn't that great. This one is slightly better than that one, so they might be getting back in. They might have to think about doing things like adding a synth on.
Oh, who knows?
They put a bit of choir work in here, but not that much. Maybe they have to or maybe not. Maybe they like their sound. That's their choice.
Oh, exactly. Then again, at the end of the day, these guys are super awesome and talented, though. And
they're great players.
And they're great players. And you guys should definitely check the album out. I'd give this one, Danny, a light 7, heavy 6.
Yeah, I gave it 6.5. Again, if you like the black metal style, well, you probably give it more. But if you're like me, he's on the cusp of it, you probably think what I gave maybe is fair.
I just think if you're into the black and death metal stuff, I mean, we reversed Auric and Astrum this year. They were awesome. We reviewed, obviously, Flesh God. They're awesome. And we've reviewed as well other ones as well. I think Mortal Eclipse, these guys kind of feel like the same with that album as well. But it's possible. There's definitely gives us hope as well, which is more than I could say about the previous album before this.
Yeah. Shame. I feel like they can do better.
That sounds like
I
think they can do better. I think it's just going to be added for people who really want to hear just a real dark, disgusting, angry vibe. So I wouldn't say it's disgusting. It's more just a dark and aggressive vibe. This album is definitely for them. Yeah. But just fell short to maybe one of my favorite albums. And
I think Hate fans will like it. So.
All right, thanks guys for joining us this week. Leave your comments and questions below about letting us know what you think of Hate's latest album. Until then, though, I'm Super Male Brother Matt,
and I'm Super Male Brother Dave.
We are the Super Male Brothers. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you all next week.